Hi, class. I am working on trying something new today and doing an audio video lesson in place of what would have been our live class via the conference tab. So, we're just going to give this a try and see how it goes. I want to thank you all for being patient with me. So, this week is week number 8, and as you know, we're still doing class remotely. So first, I want to thank you for your patience and just for going along with this. I'll try to make the video short and sweet, but also give you the important information that we would have gone over in class. So this week, what an interesting time that we would have been talking about social justice, social movements via hashtag activism, and really looking at the role of media as a shaper of society. And holy mackerel, what better week than this to look at the ways in which media is shaping perceptions and even of shaping society, reactions, realities, understandings, misunderstandings, and the like. So, first up, it's kind of new to communication studies, this whole area of hashtag activism. It's a key word, it's a degree major, it is a buzz topic that is getting more and more talked about. Hashtag activism, specifically in communication studies, refers to the use of Twitter's hashtags to coordinate social activism among internet users. So when we talk about hashtag activism, we are looking specifically at Twitter, though more recent scholars have been looking about hashtags in other digital spaces as well. Of course, if you're me, then this idea of a hashtag is new within the last about 5 to 10 years. The hashtag, which used to be the pound symbol, has now become a means to coordinate or organize mediated communication. That's why it's important to this specific class. It's actually in the new dictionary now. It is updated. The English dictionary has been updated to reflect this new definition. But the question has always been for me and for a lot of other media instructors, what does a hashtag social movement actually do, if anything? In other words, does it materialize? Does it motivate? Does it inspire? Does it get people to do more than simply change their digital photo frames? Does it actually influence or persuade and turn into a behavior or an action that is observable? So I want you to start off by considering current hashtag social movements online, right? I know that for coronavirus, there's one. In fact, very recently, if I looked up hashtag coronavirus, and what I found were a series of humorous memes. For some, they were saying too soon. For others, I believe that it was probably just a coping mechanism. But there are many others that we can look at. For example, hashtag woke, right? So if we look sort of to social definitions of what it means to be woke, it means to be aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues that come up regarding race and social justice. Saturday Night Live did a spoof on this and did an entire spoof, commercial on Levi's woke jeans. So you can definitely read through that. At the end of this PowerPoint presentation, if you want to go back to the downloadable version of this PowerPoint, the one that does not have audio or visual, you can click on any of the blue links. For example, here, the second one says read or listen to the NPR 2018 article. Included in that article or embedded in that article is the Levi Woke SNL skit that I was telling you about and some social commentary around that. And then also our reading for today was a clip by an organization called Films for Action. And again, it's really looking at a social justice group that is using film for the purpose of taking action. And there you will find a video titled The Problem with Wokeness. There are many other Twitter hashtags that we can look at that have happened throughout the last couple years. And again, that question that we're really forefronting is what power does Twitter have to mobilize citizens, especially with regard to the creation of and perpetuation of hashtags? So here's just a couple examples really quick. From 2014, so a couple years ago, um, in Hong Kong, the youth staged a protest under the hashtag Umbrella Revolution. And this was during a time when there was a government decision that was made to end civil nominations of candidates. And so the term umbrella in Umbrella Revolution became popularized as the youth took to the streets and, of course, were met by police forces. Um, and the police would use pepper spray when they believed that the youth were becoming unruly, and the youth would instead use their umbrellas to repel that pepper spray. So the hashtag Umbrella Revolution became a gathering point, became a gathering rally cry, sort of a platform for the Chinese youth to protest the end of civil nominations. We can look just a year or two later at Twitter's hashtag #AmINext, and this was a movement that really circulated heavily in Canada, and it was an attempt to spread awareness of the high rates of disappearances for Indigenous women that were occurring at the time. And there were hundreds, is my understanding, of Indigenous women who were either being kidnapped or linked to a disappearance of some kind. And the local communities, including the Indigenous communities themselves, were very concerned as to why the government and local police officials were not responding with more immediacy. So as a result, this hashtag actually manifested, and 300,000 signatures were gathered in a petition that really asked the government and police officials to take this investigation more seriously and to launch it on a larger scale, which actually occurred. This one is an interesting one because if we take a look back at Twitter, we can see these two often occurred together, and they were hashtags why I stayed and why I left. And this hashtag combo was created and started after a video went viral, and perhaps you remember this, of an NFL player, Ray Rice, who attacked his fiancée, and it was captured on film. The hashtag why I stayed was actually started by a domestic violence survivor and victim. And my understanding is that, and the research surrounding this particular hashtag suggests that many victims were feeling isolated and that they were constantly justifying the reasons for why they stayed in domestic and partner abusive, physically abusive relationships. And in this way, the hashtag why I stayed really created a platform for other survivors to explain publicly their reasons why they chose to remain in these relationships, but also to find community and camaraderie with one another in terms of support. Perhaps you remember this one from just a few years back, and it was hashtag Oscars So White. And this really functioned as a social commentary on who runs or is in charge of Hollywood and the problem of racial discrimination in the higher-ups' decision-making and power for who is overrepresented when it comes to award nominees and winners. So again, a 2016 social commentary on the ways in which the Oscars perpetuate racial discrimination. Finally, one that maybe isn't so heavy, we could say, was just a few years back again. It was started on Twitter, and it was hashtag Dudes Greeting Dudes. Here in the blue, you'll see a link titled Video of Woman, and there was, perhaps you also remember this, a viral video that circulated pretty heavily about a woman who walked the streets of New York for 10 hours straight and video recorded, audio recorded all the times that she was catcalled. So a journalist by the name of Elon James created this hashtag, somewhat in humor, but also again as social critique, in response to the constant victim blaming surrounding street harassment of women, right? This is under the narrative of, well, if you were dressed like that, then your appearance wouldn't render these calls. And so his idea was, what if men did the same thing to other men and catcalled men using appearance, their attire, right? As a way to compliment each other on the streets. So if you click on the video link, it's actually pretty funny. Not this one, but the link of that the Dudes Greeting Dudes created. However, unlike other hashtag social movements, this one, the follow-up research behind it suggested there was no evidence that there was any change or actual movement that took place. And here are just a couple others, right? The Ice Bucket Challenge, perhaps you remember, which raised funds for ALS. Michelle Obama did a hashtag campaign of Bring Our Girls Back, and this was keeping the story of women who were kidnapped in Nigeria alive in the media when it was otherwise falling behind other top stories. And the like, Giving Tuesday, the hashtag Pray For events. Of course, we're very familiar with the popular Black Lives and Blue Lives Matter movements. And so here are some questions to consider, or there are many questions rather that we can consider about how did these manifest, what were their outcomes, what were their goals even along the way, and then can you think of some that were also more current? So here's a moment for you to take to your notes and do a 1-minute quick write. I would ask if we were in class how effective you actually believe hashtag activism is. And if your answer is, well, it depends, then I want you to go ahead and select one and tell me what it depends on and how this particular hashtag created a tangible outcome, so to speak. So choose a prominent or popular hashtag movement, and then ask yourself what evidence there is to suggest that any type of social change actually occurred, or in other words, what happened because of the hashtag, right? And then I would ask you to consider, in your opinion, whether or not you think hashtags are an effective ways to mobilize or motivate citizens to support a particular cause. Why or why not? Now that is going to wrap up our discussion on hashtag social activism, or on hashtags and social activism. The next video I make will be on First Amendment and censorship issues as they pertain to this week's class discussion. Thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it.